This episode of Cognitive Dissonance is brought to you by our patrons. You fucking rock. Be advised that this show is not for children, the faint of heart, or the easily offended. The explicit tag is there for a reason.
Recording live from Glory Hole Studios in Chicago, this is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news, makes it big, or makes us mad. It's skeptical, it's political, and there is no welcome mat. This is episode 387, highlighted on the big board.
On the big board.
Thank you, Cecil. And I will give myself the out to say, man, we're recording episode after episode after episode. Point, I don't even know what's up, what's down. We're going down under, so everything else is just kind of falling apart.
This, of course, will happen after we have already been down under. So it was a pleasure to meet all of you, of course. It was
you know who you are. You're my favorite. And that guy, come on.
And our show was an absolute disaster. And Eli pulled the card out of his ass and
showed everyone his penis.
And I drowned scuba diving. So. All right, so we're good. We're moving on.
Who's that guy on the other side of the glory hole? It's Jesus.
Oh my God, this is great. This story is from the Daily News. Male lions having sex in Kenya has censors roaring over crazy gay animals. So there's censors at the zoo or whatever. Like there's animal censors. I read that title, that headline. I'm like, really? There's censors for everything, not just like what movies we're gonna watch. Well, let's ask the censor. Like, what are the lions gonna do?
A guy with like a cloth that holds it in front of them when they're banging. Yeah.
They're just doing it like they do on the Discovery Channel. Yeah. I'm just saying. They're just nothing but mammals. This was bad. So this is basically a photograph of two dudes, lion dudes. Appear to be getting it on.
Yeah. My favorite part of this is you can't really listen to this audio because the people do really have very thick accents and it's kind of hard to understand. But when you listen to it, the guy who's getting asked the question, the person says, well, there's two male lions and they would look like they were having sex. And the guy's like, how do we know they're male? And the woman says, well, it's common knowledge that any lion that has a mane is a male.
Right? Well, maybe it's a cross-dressing.
How do we know?
I don't know.
How do we know? They look like they're having some fun, though. Look at that one on the bottom. He's like, gimme. Gimme.
I have like legit, like, did he spit on it first? Like, I mean, really? He's going in dry?
He is.
He's going in dry. They live.
I think that those little lipstick things come with their own lube.
Oh, they self-lube?
Yeah,
I want a self-lubing dick.
So.
That's an amazing
They would almost
dick.
have to, wouldn't they?
I don't know.
Because don't they like physically attack the female and like...
I don't know, but isn't it because the female's in heat or whatever? So maybe she's just juicy as fuck the whole time. Like, just walking around.
Damn, bitch, you juicy. Damn, you juicy. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's what being in heat is. They're just walking around fucking snail.
Well, what's this guy giving off if that's the case? maybe he's not in heat. It's just damn hot out. That's all. I love too because the guy again also says, well, maybe they saw a couple of gay guys and they learned it from the gay guys. And I'm thinking to myself, one, do animals need to watch us fuck to know how to fuck? Like, do they need that level of information? And like if that's the case, then why haven't they started their own fire or stolen a car or, I don't know, poached each other? You know what I mean? Like, if they learn from humans.
Right. Let's hunt us for sport.
I learned from watching you.
What gay couple is like walking around? They see two lions and they're like, this is the place to fuck. I want to fuck Because I got to tell you,
I know
you
what it
are
is.
okay.
It's just like when you hang yourself and you jerk off. It's the threat of death. It makes you shoot your balls out of your cock. But the doom. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah, we might get eaten, but get eaten. All right. Let's get your fucking. All right. I'm gonna grab a hold of your mane.
It's funny because so I got a story that I wanted to tell about this. So when this relates back to animals imitating other things, and this is totally off topic, but I want to tell it anyway. I was somewhere where this dog, there was a little dog, and it was one of those little shitty dogs, those little they're like the tiny shitty dogs that are like the size of like a purse. You know what I mean? The small Shih Tzu kind of dogs.
Yeah, a little hamster dog or whatever.
They look like I don't know, like they look like a purse dog, but it's a little bigger than that. Kind of look like a Benji, but a shorter Benji, right?
Okay, yeah.
And with a lot more hair on its face, like a sheepdog look. Anyway, this dog sounds like it is coughing up a lung. It sounds so bad. Every time somebody walks up to it, it sounds like it's coughing, like really bad. It was. I was out somewhere and there was somebody who had a dog. So this was at like a gathering that I was at, and this person had this dog. Well, you know when dogs cough and it sounds hollow and weird, and like they sound like they're at the bottom of a well or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it sounds like somebody's beating on a coffee can or something. Just like ka-toom, ka-toom, ka-toom. This and it's crazy too because it doesn't matter the size of the dog.
Right.
No matter what size the dog is, that fucking sound is as big as a room, no matter what. And this little dog is making the sound, and I wonder. I'm like, and it sounds like it's oinking, right? It sounds like it's oinking.
Oh, weird.
And I go to somebody, I'm like, that poor dog sounds so sick. And they're like, no, that dog's grew up with pigs. And so it's imitating the pigs. And I'm like, I don't believe you. I'm like, that dog's sick. And then a couple other people came up to me and said that the dog is imitating pigs because it grew up with pigs. And
That's amazing.
It oinks instead of barks. I don't know how true that is. The dog seriously could have been very sick. I never talked to anybody that could confirm or deny this, but everybody that I talked to said the same thing, that the dog grew up with pigs, and so it then imitates the pigs. I'm still skeptical of the whole thing. I think what people are doing is saying that dog may have a problem with its voice, and they assume that that's what it's trying to do, even though it can't.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. But if a dog does that, isn't that the craziest thing? If it's true, I'm not sure that it's true.
I just think maybe they're just fucking with you. Maybe it's like they're like, my dog is dying. Like, oh, he grew up around corpses.
Yeah.
So he's imitating. He grew up at a funeral home. Yeah. It's fine.
My dog grew up around bodies that were embalmed, which is why it smells like that. So
you are watching the beginning and the birth of the New World Order. And you want to call me crazy? Go to hell. Call me crazy all you want.
This story is from The Verge. The Antifa super soldier conspiracy theory is dangerous because people want to believe it. And this touches a little bit upon what we talked about last week in terms of people wanting to believe conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
And how incredibly tempting it is to believe these theories.
Yeah. And there was a bunch of fake stuff that was going on around this. There's a blog called The Gateway Pundit posted a copy of something a comedian had written about how millions of Antifa super soldiers would behead all white parents and small business owners on a certain day.
November 4th, they were going to do this.
Yeah, and it said, another piece of this article says, Antifa will launch violent civil war, possibly backed by billionaire George Soros and shadowy forces within the U.S. government who are quietly organizing a mass electrical blackout to coincide with the uprising. And I you know, of all the things that I read, it sounds like it rings true the most because blackout lives matter. I think more than anything else. But this is made up. This is made up.
Whiteout covers up a lot of mistakes.
Also in this story, that one of the things that they mention is conservative actor James Woods.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, he says
he's an asshole on Twitter. I don't know if you see this stuff.
Really?
Oh, the stuff he puts out there. It's all just it's fake news garbage. It's just that fake news. Yeah, he's
just a right-wing conspiracy idiot.
Yeah, he's a right-wing shithead.
Oh my God, that's just, what is he in? What is James Woods in?
He's in the Family Guy where he's like, ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. But other than that,
nothing.
I mean, yeah, he's done other stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
like the whole Antifa. Antifa's become the right-wing whipping boy, right?
Yeah.
This is the new Obama brown shirt, right?
Yeah.
It's the new quasi-military arm. It's like when Occupy was a thing.
Or when Jade Helm was a thing.
Right. It's it's whatever they can look at and say, oh my God, there's some scary, violent purge-like, reprisal that's going to come forward from Antifa or from whoever. And it's gonna, they're gonna kill all the real Americans. They're gonna kill, because this goofy like fake memo they put out said something like they're gonna kill all the Trump voters. Where the hell are they gonna know who those people are? Those people didn't even self-identify at the polls.
You have to put a big red T above your door.
Right?
And they'll come in.
Antifa here. Oh no, we gave it the office. Okay, we're gonna go.
Okay, fine.
How many Antifa members do they think there are?
I know. That's the thing, is that people want to believe this, and you're just like, man, there's like fucking couple thousand of these people.
Yeah, and nobody's better armed than the Trump voters.
Exactly.
Antifa's going to show up and they're going to be like, we're young and idealistic and generally angry. And they're going to be like, yeah, I'm a hillbilly with a hat. You got to get the fuck off my garbage land.
I'm a hillbilly with a hat and an arsenal.
Right?
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. I'm bristling with firepower.
Exactly.
I'm bristling with firepower and not a lot of brain power. This is my jam.
Everybody has a way of interpreting them to be the truth or not truth. There's no such thing, unfortunately, more a fact.
Speaking of not a lot of brain power,
oh my God.
This is from the Hill poll. Holy shit. Vast majority of Trump voters says he should still stay in office even if Russia colluded. Even if the collusion is proven.
Even if it's proven.
Even if the collusion is proven.
Yeah.
They're saying like, yeah, well, he's still orange and he's our guy.
Some of these numbers are just shocking. Nearly 80% of Trump voters said they think the president should stay in office, even if collusion is proven between his campaign and Russia.
I don't understand how. Now, I don't like to use this word, but that is un-American as fuck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's un-American as fuck to collude with a foreign nation to steal the election, to subvert the entire democratic process, to shit on the integrity of democracy as a process itself. And then to be like, I still want the reward of it,
You got to imagine how big a hypocrite you got to be. You know what I mean? You just got.
I'm a really big hypocrite. And I still wouldn't do this.
The thing is, look at what happens when fucking, when Harvey Weinstein gets accused by a bunch of people. It's not that the left is like, at least nobody I know is like, whatever.
No, abandoned.
He's a good donor, whatever. Whenever anybody comes out on look what happened with Weiner. When that guy was found out that he's texting some 15-year-old or whatever, immediately he was ejected. Just junk, get out of here.
Ejaculated or ejected?
I don't know. It depends. You got to read his text. You got to read his text to find out. But, he was immediately just taken out of the party. Forget it. You're not part of this group anymore. We don't care about you. Go away. But a lot of times when it happens on the other side, they circle the wagons around this guy. Yeah. And they'll just be like, they don't care, especially when it comes to somebody really big like Trump. They're just like, oh yeah, well, it doesn't matter. Whatever comes out.
Why do you
matter.
think that is? But why do you think so?
And could you imagine, flip this around and say any Democrat was found colluding with Russia? Look at how much they want to talk about the Hillary connection with the uranium, all that bullshit thing, right? Look at how much they want to connect that stuff. And you're just like, oh my God, for real?
Hillary is the most talked about candidate that did not win the presidency ever. Yeah. You know what I mean? When Bob Dole didn't win, everybody forgot about Bob Dole. Immediately. When McCain didn't win, everybody forgot about McCain.
Nobody thought it. But it's funny because even people on Fox News, and Hillary pointed this out when she was being interviewed, they refer to it as the Hillary administration. They will talk about bad things that have happened and blame it on her administration. She's like, I was never president. It's funny though that they will because it's because, it's not that I think Hillary is an angel, and it's not that I don't think the Democratic Party itself is not a train wreck, because I think it is. And I think that they have a lot of explaining to do with how they tried to make sure that Hillary was their candidate and all that stuff that went on there. And now Donna Brazil's got a book out, and she's talking about all this stuff that went on behind the scenes and whatnot. So there's a lot of things they have to answer for, the Democrats. But as big a dumpster fire as it is nothing compared to what's going on. It's
a fucking landfill fire on the right.
Exactly.
It's a horror show.
It's fucking Horizon 7 or whatever that is. What was that? Deepwater Horizon or whatever. The one that's in the ocean that fucking shat out all the million gallons of oil, lit on fire and all that. Whatever it was called. That thing.
Yeah.
Like their party is just a fucking, it's belching oil into the world and just like fucking lighting it on fire and just be like, who gives a fuck? And on the other side, it's not, I mean, it's bad, but it's not that, it's not that bad. And I don't even really consider myself, when I think about like as a Democrat, I don't think of myself as a Democrat. I think of myself on the left, but I certainly don't think of myself as like a Democratic hardliner. Like I don't think of myself like that. I know I'm on the left, but I don't think of myself as a hardline Democrat guy. And I do see the problems with the party. I do see that there's issues, and that if they continue to marginalize people and do that sort of thing, they're going to lose again.
Yeah.
They're going to keep losing.
Strategically, they're
going to keep losing over and over and over again if they don't get their shit together.
Yep.
And finally, Mr. Speaker, I'm flattered that you're all so interested in my vagina, but no means no.
This story comes from Rewire. A Catholic hospital pressured women to bury their fetuses, and then Pence made it law. And it's like, what happens if Trump gets impeached and you got Pence?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You got Pence. So it's horrifying. Now they're talking about like, some people like these fetal burial programs, and it's like, great, if that's your thing,
if that's what they want to do, that's fine.
You're
allowed to do that.
You're allowed to do whatever the fuck you want, right? Yeah. If what's going to bring you comfort in a time of personal grief is to bury this fetus or whatever, however you decide to memorialize it, fucking that's your thing. That's your thing. But to force it on people,
turn it into law so you have to do it?
Right.
What a horror. This woman in this story is inside a Catholic hospital, St. Joseph's Regional Medical Center in Indiana. And she winds up having a miscarriage. And the hospital chaplain comes in and asks her several times, you've got to bury this child. Here's the plot information, etc. Yep. And she's like, no, I don't want to do it. And then they send in like the closer chaplain or whatever.
Right, I know.
Like the chaplain, the heavy chaplain. Right. Like the one that's going to come and be like, here's how it fucking is, huh? I'm going to tell you what's going on.
It berates the other chaplain. It's like, hey, put that coffee down. Put that holy water down. Exactly. Holy water is for closers. A, B, C. A, always. B, B, C, closing. Close the deal. Get the fuck out of here.
Always. B, cesarean.
Well, it's even more egregious, right? Because in the case that it's a cesarean. Because in the case that they cited, this woman had a miscarriage. She wanted to send the fetal remains off for testing, right?
Yeah, right.
Because she's like, I'd like to not have another miscarriage.
I'd like to figure out what the fuck is wrong.
If there's something I can do, and sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Yeah. But like, she wanted to send it off and be like, makes me. I got the big sads. And so we're going to bury it instead.
And you know what's fucking so infuriating about that is that right there is basically saying, I'm going to decide how you get to grieve.
Yeah.
Right? The woman had a plan and thought, you know what? I'm going to choose this and it's going to be how I grieve, right? It's going to be how I cope with this grief is I'm going to send this off to a lab, get it figured out, and it's going to be my coping mechanism to deal with this difficult time in my life.
And
instead, the other side is I'm going to make you bury this, and I'm going to determine how you're going to cope with that. God damn it! I'm going to choose your coping mechanism, and your coping mechanism is there's a little plot in the land that you can put flowers on and cry around.
Yeah, well, but even in addition to that, it's like she is being shorted potentially valuable medical information.
Yeah, very important information that could stop this in the future.
She could find something out from this that says, it would be dangerous for me to get pregnant again. Getting pregnant again may hurt me, may kill me. Some women cannot carry.
Yeah.
So, there's this other thing that I can do that might increase my chances. So I don't have to go through this grief again.
Yeah.
She is being shorted medical information that she has a fucking right to have.
Yeah.
Because somebody's like, well, I think you should feel sad the way I want you to feel sad.
I want you to feel sad exactly how I want you to feel sad. And I want you to memorialize your sadness so that you know forever how sad you are.
And do you think, because I do you think a part of this is so they can sell fucking burial plots at their fucking local cemetery?
Fucking A it is.
Right?
Fucking A
This
it
is because it's a Catholic you guarantee it's a Catholic fucking cemetery. It's a Catholic fucking hospital. This is vertical integration.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what this is. And then that's how they bury them up and down because they're small.
Yeah, they're real tiny.
Just put them in like a Kodak film container.
Just a little.
Like a hamster. they just flush them.
There's just one toilet that everybody throws flowers in at the end of the week.
Gary Busey said recently that Donald Trump would make a great president. Of course, he said the same thing about an old rusty birdcage he found.
It's from thefriendlyatheist.com. Christian preacher, when Donald Trump swears, he's just acting like Jesus.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Do you remember the Sermon on the Mount?
We said, fuck y'all.
You remember when he was handing out the loaves and motherfucking fishes?
Remember when he waggled his dick at Peter?
I mean, he did curse a tree.
I remember when he grabbed Mary Magdalene's pussy.
By the pussy,
yeah,
right?
So here we go.
Why do you think there is this negative perception, especially even among some within the Christian community? What do you think lends itself to that?
Well,
he's an asshole.
Right.
Yeah.
He behaves badly, and some people watch him do it. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I paid even the scantest amount of attention.
I had one hand over my eye, and I still saw.
I have what we call standards. They're low. I'm Republican. Nonetheless.
Yeah.
Part of it is because he's still got rough language.
Yeah.
You know, he still has some of the Queen's character in his character. But what I say to people, I said, listen, if you have a problem with someone with rough language, then you're going to have a problem with Jesus because he spoke
that doesn't
to the
make any sense. Like, we don't really know what he said. Some other people wrote it down decades and decades after.
Four different people.
Right. 4 different people wrote down very different stories.
Very different stories.
Right.
Yeah.
And they just wrote them down, decades and decades and decades after it happened. And they still remember verbatim what he said.
In one of them, he's a Jew. In one of them, he's magic. There is. I mean, genuinely, in John, it's very magic. It's magic oriented.
Is that the one where zombies and everything after the resurrection?
I don't remember exactly which one that one, but I know that it's very mystical and it's very, very magical.
Is it more hippie?
It's just more supernatural.
Okay.
As I recall. And this is just from my recall from when I was in college and I had to read the 4 different testaments. And I only remember 2 of them because I remember how Jewish he was in one of them. Like, because all the other ones are kind of like,
was he just worried all the time?
They do some Jewy stuff. But in this one, he's just like, yeah, I'm super Jewish. Hey, kids, how you doing? I got these weird little locks. I'm wearing this tuxedo.
Mary is giving him a hard time, following him around everywhere.
Exactly. But he's got to sell his car back to his mom. It's this weird thing.
Honey, your health. I'm being scourged, Ma. I'm being scourged. This is Leave Me Be. They're going to mess up your hair.
Make sure they use an antiseptic. But, but he's very, like, all the Jewish traditions are in that one.
Okay.
And so it feels like he is not a Jewish person.
Right.
He's a Jewish person. And the other 2 are kind of a mixture of those 2 things. But they're very different. They're all very different accounts.
Yeah. Well, but I love the idea that,
and none of them he's like, fuck you, bitches.
This is the testimony of Tupac.
Jesus
the gospel is written by Tupac.
Did have perfect abs for a thug life right across there, though. You know what I mean?
Pharisees and Sadducees and said, you vipers, you snakes.
Yeah.
He referred to Herod as a fox.
Yeah.
And then there's
we call them animal names. He called them animal names.
Did he say to somebody consarnate too?
I know,
was he the rootin' tootinest?
The account of the woman he called a dog. So I mean,
Did he call her a bitch?
If you want to find offense, you'll find offense.
Yeah.
Because he's giving plenty of it.
All of a sudden we're getting a little offended by the littlest things, like when he says, "I'm gonna grab him by the pussy."
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Just take offense at every little pussy grabbing.
God, you people are so sensitive in your pussy.
and anything. But
hopefully. Otherwise, wasting a lot of time.
I'll tell you what, I'm pumping away. I'm trying down here.
Giving it a whirl.
I'm trying.
This isn't for me.
I'm going to tag somebody else in eventually.
Trump, and I think, which alludes to part of the prophecy that God gave to him, is that he's a man of his word. He says what he means, and he means what he says. Well, what character does that imitate?
This interviewer's entire interview style so far, no shit, is
sounds like somebody revving an engine.
He's a chainsaw. Oh my God, I'm so nervous. I'm going to be interviewed by Bill the Chainsaw Harrison. That's an actual chainsaw on a desk. He asks the hard-hitting questions. He really brings.
They put a little hat on him. Just vibrating around the desk. It brings in his brother, the outboard motor. Just set him on the desk next to him.
That's like the Ed McMahon sitting in the chair.
Who is that? God.
Yeah.
God says what he means, and he means what he says.
Yeah.
So I believe that God saw in the character of Donald Trump a fighter. One that will stand into the face of the enemy. Because really and truly, the church has had its butt kicked the last 100 years, I'd say, or 75 years. We really have. When you look at the situation of this country morally, where it has fallen to.
That's all he's doing. It's astonishing.
Well, let's talk about the moral character of the country with the fewer, as the years goes on.
Can we go back 100 years?
Violent offenses and violent crimes in this country have plummeted.
We don't have child labor.
We have weekends off.
Right. Yeah. We pay people.
Yeah.
All the people.
Yeah. Women can vote. Black people can have jobs and don't have to drink out of a weird skanky water fountain.
There's safety standards in every place that you work. So you can't accidentally fall into the smelting iron anymore.
It's just like, well, Bill fell in the iron. And then the supervisor just,
God wasn't going to have some mamsy-whamsy, love and peace kind of a president.
Where would you find him in the Republican Party anyway?
Right?
Where on the earth would you find a mamsy-whamsy peace and love? None of those people are for peace. They're all hawks.
We don't have anybody that's been in charge and that I can ever remember.
Most of the Democrats are hawks too.
Right, that's what I mean. Well, I don't know of any. I don't maybe Bernie Sanders would have been the closest peace and love. But also, can I just ask a quick question? What would be so bad about that?
I don't know.
Because I feel like peace is better than the alternative literally every time.
And didn't all those baby boomers go get high at fucking Woodstock? Where the fuck are all of you?
Why are they so mad? They're all working for fucking DuPont right now.
Jesus.
That's why. They're all at Lockheed Martin
fuckers.
And DuPont.
To get the job done, he had to get Mike Tyson, a fighter.
Someone to bite someone's ear off.
And rape someone. I need someone. You know who we need to use as an example?
You know what we haven't had in the White House in a while is sexual assault. That's what we need is sexual assault. Who can we get?
Bite, bite, bite. Rape, rape, rape. Mike Tyson presidency.
Ready to stick it in the glory hole? Get links to their Facebook, Twitter, and if you still use it, Google Plus account at their website, dissonancepod.com. If you need to be all discreet about it, contact them by email at dissonance.podcast@gmail.com. Or you can call and leave a ransom message at 740-74-DOUBT. That's 740-743-6828. Want to hear Cognitive Dissonance commercial free and gain access to exclusive content, including full patron-only shows? Head to patreon.com/dissonancepod and become a patron to support the show on a per-episode basis. Love commercials? Not ready to become a patron? Give the guys a 5-star review on iTunes or Stitcher. Or tell your buddies in the drunk tank about the show. We want to send a big sloppy glory hole to all the patrons and people who rate us. You fucking rock.
This story comes from a raw story. A conservative writer, God was answering prayers of Texas victims by letting them get shot.
Whoa.
So let's not misquote.
No,
right?
absolutely not.
This is Hans Fien. So he says in his blog, it may seem on the surface, that's where the blood rose to, that God was refusing to give such protection to his Texan children, he writes. But we are also praying that God would deliver us from evil eternally. Through these same words, we are asking God to deliver us out of this evil world and into his heavenly glory, where no violence, persecution, cruelty, or hatred will ever afflict us again. So when a madman with a rifle sought to persecute the faithful at First Baptist Church on Sunday morning, he failed. Just like those who put Christ to death and just like those who have brought violence to believers in every generation, this man only succeeded in being the means through which God delivered his children from this evil world into an eternity of righteousness and peace. So when that dude showed up to church and he shot 17 or 26 people, including a 17-month-old kid, he was doing that so they'd get him to heaven faster, right? That's the heaven to faster argument. And we've heard that. We just keep hearing this argument recently.
And even more so because it happened in a church.
Right. Because I think that causes some requirement for explanation for some of these folks, right? And it's funny that it didn't when it was a black church.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. So fucking true. So true. Because when it was Dylan Roof.
Yeah. When Dylan Roof shot up the black church, nobody was like, but they were in church. They should have been protected, right? Yeah. It was like, yeah, well, we're black.
They were black.
And we don't protect those guys. You know, it's a whole thing that we don't do. So, but they shot up a white church. So let's be clear what happened.
Yeah.
They shot up a Texas white church.
Sure.
And that's that's their literal sanctuary, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so now they've kind of got this moment where it's like, oh man, we got some splaining to do. And the best they can come up with is, well, they all went to heaven, so it's cool. That's kind of it. Well, then wouldn't you say this is a failure that he didn't get everybody? Wouldn't it be a win if we nuked the whole fucking world and just sent us all to heaven right now? Like, at what point is murder no longer morally egregious if you follow this example?
That's true, right? When would it be a bad thing? If this is a win, if every death is a win, if everybody who dies is a win, then when is it not? And I think that their argument is if it happens in a church and they die in a church and they're praising the Lord, that's all good.
Well, what if they were scared and praying, like Columbine, right?
Right.
Like you're hiding under your desk, you're terrified. I don't know why I'm using that as just any of these shootings.
Sure.
Right?
Any one of those shootings.
Yeah. You're hiding someplace, you're terrified, you're praying as fast and furious as you fucking Vin Diesel praying, right?
Yeah.
Fast and furious.
Sure.
Guy bursts in, still shoots your ass. Does that count less? Does the prayer count less because you weren't in the right building?
I think it's the only way that they can logically get through this is to say that this is a win.
So, but I mean, and I'm being actually kind of curious, like, does the building matter to these guys?
I think it does. It has to. It matters. It matters to them because I think that the rest of us that don't believe say, well, why did it happen in a church? I mean, you guys do like
you think you get the order of protection.
Yeah, you guys think you have protection and you don't. Well, doesn't this shake your foundation of your faith? Is I think what a lot of people ask in this situation. I personally don't. To me, it doesn't matter. Where it happens doesn't matter to me at all. This is a horrible act. It doesn't matter whether it happened, in a street, in a bar, in a car. We could write a whole Dr. Seuss story about it, how bad it is, right? So it doesn't matter where it happened. It's always awful. So I don't care that it happened in a church. However, I think that these people are self-aware enough to realize, like, we tell people, church is where it's at. We're safe in church, and church is a sanctuary. And, we say we have God's protection. And so I think that they're aware enough to realize that, and they've got to make excuses for it.
I have a question. When you were religious, what was your branch of religion?
Christianity.
But it was
Catholic.
You were Catholic. Did they because I was Methodist, and I think I never got an impression. Now, I didn't ask specifically, but I never once got an impression that the church was anything other than a building. Yeah. Your faith is what protected you if something was.
The only thing that ever gave me that impression was the movie Highlander.
So one other quick thing. He says, in order to fully defeat evil eternally, God has to let evil get some temporary victories, such as this weekend's mass shooting. So yeah, it makes him sound like God is raising a child. It's like, oh, you got to let him win sometimes or he'll get dispirited. Sure. He won't play Scrabble anymore if we don't. So we don't want to break the devil's spirit. You got to give him a church shooting once in a while.
On the Scrabble, he's not going to want to play again.
Quidjibo is a large, hairless North American ape. It's fine. You can play it. A lot of points.
In the name of Jesus, we speak that.
And this story dovetails very nicely with that nonsense. This is Fox News. This is Ainsley Earhardt says church is the best place to be shot.
Yeah.
And that answers the age-old question, because I know you've always been wondering, if I'm going to get murdered, where is the best place? See, so where is the best place to get murdered?
Oh,
on a scale from 1 to 4.
I thought you were going to say, because she doesn't say best place to be murdered.
She says,
best place to be shot is a hospital. Right. That is the best place to be shot.
That's an
absolute best place to be shot. However, you are the only person who wants to be shot at a hospital. You do not want everybody shot at a hospital. Just you.
Just you.
Just you.
Right.
You don't
Not
want
the doctor.
You don't want a bunch of people shot. Just you. So if I'm choosing,
that's selfish.
No, I'm selfless. I'm willing to take the shot. So here's the thing: best place to be shot, hospital.
Yeah.
Worst place to be shot. I'm gonna go with.
Oh, I know an answer.
Chipotle.
Oh.
And the reason why is they will just stand on your body to get to that burrito. They don't even care. They don't even care at that point. They're just like, there's a dead body leaking blood underneath them. They're like, if that guy's not going to move, I'm going to step around him.
I have a question about the Chipotle scenario. Is my order ready? Because
something's eventually going to be ready.
I'm just saying, like, if I can make it through my burrito bowl and that's how I go out. You know, I'm like dying.
You got one little piece of barbacoa on the side of your mouth you're brushing in. Then it's not a bad way to go.
Like a cartoon where it just spills out your stomach holes.
It really doesn't matter what place it is in Chicago, downtown in the Loop, where I go to get lunch. Yeah. It doesn't matter what the place is. Every single place is the most aggressive place you've ever been to get food, because everybody is always looking for you to move very quickly. Everybody's the soup Nazi. Everybody is just like, how much this, how much this, and this, and this, and this, and this. What do you want? And they get mad when you don't know exactly what you want, or you hold up the line, and everybody behind you will hear audible sighs if someone's holding up the line. It's like, oh, come on.
That would be me though. Like, come on, this place is busy. Figure it out before you
know
get in
what
line.
you want. Know what you want. You don't want to sit there and, do I want the do I want the barbacoa, or do I want the carnitas?
Oh my God. That's you ever go to a Starbucks and somebody's like, I've never been to a Starbucks before.
No, I've never.
What goes into mocha frappa mochaccino? Fuck it, that. I don't know if I would like it. Hey, Helen, would I like a mocha caramel frappa mocha bucket deck?
Oh my God.
And you're just like, I would put coffee in a cup. I would give it to me.
I would drown that person in the coffee.
Oh my God. And then the fucking baristas are just like so nice. They're so patient. And just like, well, it's gotten there explaining it. And the whole time, everybody behind him is like dying. You're dying. You went to Starbucks because your head is pounding. Yeah. You can barely remain vertical. You're just, it's a fucking drug that we've all agreed to drink and say that we're not drinking drugs today. Exactly. That's what we're doing. Yeah. So we're all standing there like, like tapping our fucking arm. Like, come on, shoot it between my fucking toes.
Here's the thing, barista. I will fucking swallow. I will swallow right now. All you need to do is just pour me a cup of coffee.
I'll let you see it before I swallow.
You can set it on my head. I don't care. Whatever. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. All right, so let's play this fucking nonsense.
Inflicted wound.
Governor,
this is from Fox and Friends in the Morning.
We've been reporting this shouldn't happen in a church, but I was downstairs talking with some people that work here that we all talk about our faith and we share the same beliefs. We were saying there's no...
Of course you do. You're Fox.
You're all white. You're all wasps. Of course you do.
It's the P.
Get the
wasp.
fuck out of here.
Other place we would want to go and that other than church, because I'm there asking for forgiveness. I feel very close to Christ when I'm there. So I'm trying to look at some positives here and know that those people...
Some positives? I'm going to look at some positives. His 17-month-old baby was
Is there
shot.
any way we could turn that frown upside down?
Oh, someone here's a sad Sally.
Looks like someone had a case of the Sundays.
No. They should have stayed home to watch football.
Oh, no.
You'd still be like that dude just like, fuck, I missed the game. I got shot at church.
Oh.
It's terrible.
Can we find a positive?
Gotta look. There's always a silver lining in a mass murder.
What's your positive? Here's your positive. Gun control.
Yeah, right?
Here's your positive. Jesus.
There's 24 corpses littering the ground. And it's like, okay, wait. But they were like, when they came to the light was 3 steps closer.
Yeah,
When
exactly.
they walked down the eternal path thing.
with the Lord now and experiencing eternity and no more suffering, no more sadness anymore.
So you go get murdered.
Yeah.
So if it's so great,
I hate that.
Go get murdered.
So much. Like, they're not suffering anymore. They're not feeling anything anymore. They're dead. They would much prefer the alternative.
Look, I'm not suffering. I'm just alive. Like that whole message where it's like, well, there's no more suffering. There's no more pain. How bad is your life?
Okay, so what do you need besides a miracle? Guns. Lots of guns.
This story is from the Daily Mail, and this story echoes similar sentiments. This is the guy, one of the guys who shot the gunman.
Actually shot the gunman.
They got him. They wounded him. They didn't kill him, but they wounded him. A couple of guys. So they're calling this guy a hero, but the language that they're using, and I've heard this language a lot of times, is that some good guys with guns stopped the massacre.
Yeah.
And that's 100% not true.
It's not true.
And we know it's not true because there's 26 dead people.
Sure.
He didn't stop anything. In fact, these guys confronted this motherfucker as he was leaving the church.
As he left the church.
That's a post-massacre confrontation.
Exactly. Yeah.
The massacre was in the church.
Yeah.
He just didn't get away. He didn't get away. Maybe he would have gotten away a little longer.
Maybe.
Who knows,
Yeah,
right? It's speculation.
Yeah.
You can't know.
Yeah. They're also saying, like, one of the narratives is that this guy killed the person, the mass murderer.
Absolutely not
and
true.
that's not true. The mass murderer killed himself.
Yeah, committed suicide. They wounded him. He drove off and killed himself.
And then he killed himself. Now, he might have died from that other bullet. We don't know. But he's the one who ended his own life.
Right. Yeah. But, there's a side that wants so much for it to be true.
Yeah.
That good guys with guns stop bad guys with guns. So the fact that this guy was shot by some, citizen.
Yeah.
They really love that story, but they're skipping the part where he was leaving the church after he murdered 26 people. They didn't stop shit.
Sure.
Stopping things would have been, he stood up, he had a gun, he threatened some people or whatever, and someone shot him before he could kill somebody. That's how you stop something.
Sure.
Or if he shot one and was aiming at the set, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But 26 fucking people are fucking dead.
Yeah.
And he was leaving anyway. He's like, no, I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm out.
How much do you have to love guns to like this narrative? You know what I mean? Like, how much do you have to like guns to like this narrative? And one of the things that people are saying is, they immediately said, we need some gun control. We need some assault weapon bans, et cetera, and on and on and on. And, of course, it happens every time there's, this happens, people say it. And then there's two camps. There's the one camp that says, hey, let's not publicize this. Let's not politicize these people's deaths. Let's let these people be. That's the one side that wants to stop the conversation, right? And then the other side of that is, well, there was gun laws that should have stopped them. We just didn't. It just slipped through the cracks.
Well, and the third who insists there's no such thing as an assault rifle.
Yeah. So that there's several ways that people quash this argument. But the fact remains that these people are able to kill people on demand in this country pretty much at will. Yep. This happens whenever anybody wants. All they need to do is have a modicum of planning. And in this case, can be mentally disturbed and still get guns.
Sure.
And so this can happen all the time. This can happen every day. We could have one of these. Every single day we could have multiples of these, and it wouldn't change anything in this country.
We've decided we don't care. We've decided that the price of having a toy we really like, and that's for most of us what a gun is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a gun is a big boy toy for me, right?
Sure.
Like I have guns, you have guns.
Me too.
And I go to the range and I'll shoot, and it's fun. It's a recreational activity. It's effectively a toy. It's a jet ski or a boat or something like that.
It's a big toy.
That's all it is.
It's a toy that makes a lot of noise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I put holes in a piece of paper with it, right? Yep. Like, who cares?
Or a
clay
blow up a target.
Right. Yeah. So we've said this toy is more important than you. We've said this toy is more important than your life and your life and your life and your life. I just want this more than I give a shit about you. And that's the decision that we've decided to make. And like, you know, they're saying like, we don't need gun laws. This guy couldn't have gotten these guns because, you know, what he was a guy who beat his wife. He beat his wife. He beat his kid.
He was a domestic abuser.
Right. And so that should have disqualified him from having a weapon. And the Air Force knew it, and the Air Force dishonorably discharged him, and they should have reported this. They didn't report it. They dropped the ball. That would have disqualified him. He would have failed a background check. But what they're not also reporting is background checks aren't required for private gun sales.
Yeah.
I can buy a gun from you perfectly legally, and there's no background check.
Sure.
So this motherfucker could have bought this gun perfectly legally from a private seller, no problem, no background check. He could have gotten it at a discount because it was used.
He could have gone to a gun show and gotten
the same
bunch of things, because they don't require a lot of stuff there either.
Right.
And you can buy multiple guns, et cetera.
Absolutely.
So, you know, the problem in our country is the guns. The reason why people are getting killed by police officers, you know, a lot of people want to blame institutional racism, and I'm not saying that doesn't play a part, but the real reason is the guns. The real reason is the police are afraid that people have guns, and that's why they react the way they do. That's why in Canada, when you're not allowed to have guns like how we can have guns, people don't get shot nearly as often in Canada because the police they don't think they're breaking the law and have those guns.
Right. Well, you know, the thing is that even if you have institutionalized racism, if every traffic stop doesn't have embedded in it, maybe the cop got scared.
Yep.
And so then the cop is allowed to say, fear is my defense, because fear is defense, right? Yeah. So I was scared of my, why are you scared?
Yeah.
You're scared because maybe that guy's got a gun.
Yeah.
Why? Because everyone's got a fucking gun.
Yeah.
It's a reasonable fear.
If you change the gun laws, even if you just change them to like what Canada has, which is everybody can still have guns. You just can't travel with the guns with you know, when they're loaded, they have to be in a box or whatever. And you can have them at home, but you just can't have them like the way we have them, right? You can't just walk around with a gun. Like you can't have open carry, you can't have concealed carry, and you can't certainly have it loaded in public. You have to have it taken apart when you travel. Maybe you just had those laws, right? Even if you just had those laws in place, that way, when you see a guy with a gun, you immediately know he's breaking the law,
right?
But there's no question on whether or not, because like you get those assholes who walk down the street with the fucking M16 or whatever on their back,
right?
You know that guy's breaking the law. Like you know it. You're 100% of the time you're breaking the law. Yep. There doesn't need to be a conversation. And so, you know, you make gun crime enough of a penalty where people won't do it. And the thing is like we can stop a lot of the things that happen in this country when it comes to violence against people that are afraid in that situation. Mm-hmm. And then these sort of, I mean, look at what's happened in Australia once they had the Port Arthur shooting. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
And then, you know, after that, there has been a few shootings since then, but they've been in they're small numbers. They're not 40 or 50.
Right.
They're 5 and 6. And there has been people who died en masse, but we're talking about stabbings and small arms that, you know, again, you can shoot a couple people, but you can't shoot at like 1 million people with it.
Yeah, it's wildly different when you can, and there are other things we can do, you know, like we can regulate ammunition differently. You know, we could regulate clips differently. Yeah. There's so many solutions or things that we could do to help ameliorate this problem.
Yeah.
We're not going to do anything.
Not going to do anything.
We're going to do nothing. Later this year when this happens, we're going to do nothing. Next year in 2018, when the biggest mass shooting happens again, we're going to do nothing. In 2019, when the biggest mass shooting happens again, we're going to do nothing. And in 2020, when the biggest mass shooting ever happens again, we'll do nothing. We don't give a shit.
And we're going to look at each other and we're going to be like, I tried nothing and I'm all out of ideas.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We're going to Ned Flanders this shit.
Mine eyes have seen the glory hole whilst coming with the Lord, and he's rubbing out a vintage since his girth is quite engorged. He hath loosed his seed, an immaculate stream from his terrible stiff sword. His truth is just BS. Glory, 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 ho! Glory, 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 ho! Glory, 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 ho! His truth is just BS.
So this story comes from Channel 10 News somewhere. My glasses aren't on. I can't read it. Florida church changes sign after message, and I think this is bullshit, misinterpreted.
Come on.
As sexual. Okay. All right. Bella Vista Baptist Church. Here's what your sign says. Nobody's misinterpreting this. This is a message to the pastor's wife. You know that it is.
I don't know. Maybe.
You know that this is. This is a direct. This is the pastor writing a passive aggressive note to his wife.
Okay.
Using the church sign.
Right.
Here's what it says. Mm-hmm. Forgiveness is swallowing when you want to spit.
Maybe it's a passive aggressive note to his dentist, Tom.
I don't know how that relates to forgiveness at all.
You had said to me a while ago that you love it when things like this happen because all it would take is a 10-year-old boy.
Right.
Like all you need around you, if you're thinking about putting up a sign, is just you have to have a 10-year-old boy read it aloud.
Yes.
Read this aloud and tell me if you think you can make some sort of innuendo out of it.
Right.
Because 10-year-old boys are great.
Right.
And so our podcast hosts are great at making innuendo out of these things. All you need to do is just have somebody who's qualified, like a 10-year-old boy, read this out loud and be like, no, you can't put that up.
It doesn't pass the snicker test.
Exactly.
You read it, did you snicker?
Yeah.
Because what they're going to tell you every time is, no, that's cool.
Yeah. I guess that's true. But if you hear it in his voice.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Come the fuck
it
on.
Does not pass the 10-year-old boy
This guy
test.
wants his wife. That's he's saying that whoever put this thing up, whoever wrote this thing.
I guess I should say that differently. It doesn't pass the 10-year-old boy test. Sounds a little weird for a church, especially when we're talking about swallowing and spitting. So I don't want to say that. But yeah, I love that. I love that they're like whoopsie doodle. You're like, come on, how the fuck do you not know that? What kind of charm? What kind of fucking sheltered ass life do you lead?
And they say in the article, that they're like, oh, it was just an innocent mistake. It was an inducement for people to forgive.
Yeah.
No, it's a request for someone to swallow.
I'm Raymond Massey, and I have a special message for senior citizens. Today's doctors, drugs, and medical devices truly work medical miracles for young and old alike. But there are some as phony as a $3 bill. Investigate before you invest in health services or products. Help stamp out quackery.
All right, this story comes from KQED. Future View Health Stories for a New Era. Premier U.S. hospitals are selling unproven alternative therapies. This is part of the overall movement in hospitals to promote a complementary or holistic approach to medicine, where you can go and you can get things that work. And then, you can go next door to the fucking Reiki and the garbage therapies.
Yeah.
All in the hospital. And, one of the huge problems that's embedded there is that people look to a hospital as an authority, right? Whatever happens in the hospital has that veneer of medical authority around it.
It's official.
Right. So if I go and somebody fucking juggles my aura's balls or whatever, then I think that worked because it happened at the hospital.
In part of this article, it says, just in the past year, the teaching hospital connected to the University of Florida began offering cancer patients consultations in homeopathy and traditional Chinese herbal medicine. Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia launched an institute whose offerings include intravenous vitamin and mineral therapies.
Oh my
and
God.
University of Arizona a pioneer in the field, received a $1 million gift to boost practitioner training in natural and spiritual healing techniques.
What they're saying too, like Duke University's podiatry program.
Yeah.
You can get like detox, like foot detoxes. Do you remember?
Well, you did the foot detox.
Do you remember? I was going to say.
You put those vinegar patches on your feet.
This is from our Everyone's a Critic days.
Yeah.
We used to do this Critics on Cons section. And we first started talking about skeptical issues.
Yeah.
And they were selling at the time on TV these detox foot patches.
Yeah, where you put a piece of it's like a Band-Aid you put on your foot.
And it would turn fucking all kinds of hairy looking
different colors.
Yeah. And those were the toxins that it was sucking out of your
toxins
body.
out of your body. But you put them all over your body.
Yeah, I bought like a dozen.
Yeah.
And I put them on my nipples and I put them on my belly and on my back and on my arms and my legs, and my feet. I put them all. I just covered myself like a fucking mummy in these things. Yeah. And they all turn the same shitty colors.
Well, some of them, like the ones on your shoulders didn't, but it was any place that you sweated.
Yeah, right.
Like it was any place that was sort of moist. And then you guys, you and it was your ex-wife at the time, had taken a control group.
Yep. And just got
it wet, and they turned black.
Turned the same thing. Yeah. Because it's fucking nonsense. Yeah. I don't understand what the thing is about, like, your biscuits leaching out all your toxins.
Why does it come out of your? Isn't the soles of your feet, aren't they like thicker than the rest of your skin anyway?
That's what I was gonna say. Mine are like covered in fucking hobbit calluses.
Like wouldn't you want to put it like wouldn't all the toxins just flow out of the thinnest skin in your body?
Right.
Like why wouldn't it be like on my balls or like actually my balls are pretty thick, but like. And certainly not. I mean, like, I know my cock is thick from like all those years of working.
Not what I've heard.
Like, well, the skin is. That's all it is. It's just all skin anyway. It's like a deflated balloon at this point. The saddest little thing. But like,
skin stretched over a peanut.
Exactly. It's like.
I never grew my own clitoris before.
It's like, he's got a tiny little trunk. Adorable. But like, wouldn't it be like on the inside of your arm or something, like where it hurts to get pinched?
Where
it's like, ow, fuck, don't pinch me there.
Like any place you don't want a tattoo.
Exactly.
Right? Any place you're like, no, ow, fuck.
My whole body?
God.
Yeah, this is, but, and you know, the thing is that you're right. These places seem like they have this aura of credibility and authority. And one of the things that we talked about before, which, you know, we have sort of defended hospitals for, is that, you know, if something was going to sell, wouldn't they sell it? Is what we used to say all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We used to say that all the time. Like if people were like, yeah, well, vinegar cures disease.
Yeah, if something's going to work.
If something's going to work, why wouldn't they sell it to you? And, you know, the reason, you know, that logic doesn't follow through here, because this stuff is not, like, there's been many studies on a lot of these different things. You know, when it comes to acupuncture, no credibility. When it comes to homeopathy, no credibility. Chiropractic, no credibility. When it comes to studies, you know, they've done massive studies on a lot of these things. Reiki, Chinese therapy, fucking burning sage up your ass, all this stuff that they've done all these tests on. But they're still going to sell it to you.
Oh, yeah. You know, the thing is, like, it seems like what's happening is the hospitals have realized that they can cash in on it, right? And so they want to cash in on it. And I think, you know, it would be tempting to say, like, well, what's the harm if it makes people feel better? Yeah. But the problem is that there are going to be people who abandon the regular course of efficacious Western treatments and just continue to pursue the other treatments that probably are vastly more comfortable. If somebody says, like, hey, do you want to go in this, like, this room that's going to smell nice, we're going to play nice music, I'm going to spend an hour of my time, like, being kind to you and listening to you and, like, touching you gently or whatever, like in a massage or whatever, or do you want to go get chemo where you sit and, like, it's this miserable experience?
I want to stop you, though.
Hair falls.
I want to stop you, though, because they in the article, they go out of their way to explain this. And they say that one of the guys says, and he's very careful to say, that this does not replace traditional treatments. And they're very careful to mention that if they're getting chemotherapy, that they mention that that is the thing that they should be getting, not the other thing. And they make sure to mention that whatever counter, like They make a point, I'm going to read it directly. It says, and they make a point of coordinating care with other doctors so that, for instance, patients don't get prescribed herbal supplements that might interact badly with their chemotherapy.
But don't you wonder if like patients themselves won't just react and say?
I mean, it says that the guy is careful to say that they can supplement but can't replace conventional treatments. So the hospital is saying, I don't know what people are doing, and I don't know what people are choosing. And like you say, you're right. What would you rather have? Would you rather have somebody who is, giving you something that is designed to sort of fuck you up enough to hurt the cancer? Or do you care if like somebody's just burning incense and making you feel good? I understand where you're coming from, but as it stands right now, the hospital is going out of their way to say conventional treatments are not replaceable.
Right.
Which is good.
It is.
But if they're saying that, and they're saying out loud, conventional treatments aren't replaceable, they're saying that these other ones are not as efficacious. These other ones are bullshit.
They're saying this works. Don't stop doing this. If you want to supplement it with the shit that doesn't work, that's fine. What would
we'll take your money. Yeah.
But again, what worries me is that like, I think it's just human nature to do the things that feel good. And I can see people abandoning the hospital program entirely and saying, I learned from the hospital that Reiki works. And I can just go to the Reiki practitioner down the street instead of going to the hospital for it. I learned from the hospital that acupuncture works.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if the person doesn't care about what true things are or doesn't look into it, maybe.
Yeah. Or just believe, like people believe all kinds of things that just appeal to them rather than are accurate.
I know I would never do that. I know if I was sick, if I was sick and I went to the hospital and they said, we got this brand new Reiki thing, I'd be like, I don't think, because I've had doctors say to me, do you want me to dry needle your leg? Like, do you want me to like throw some dry needles in there? And I'm like, is that like acupuncture? Like, no, it kind of just does this. I'm like, no, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And there might be something to it and there might not be, but I've never heard of it. And I've never heard of it as a conventional treatment. So I don't care. And I've had doctors want to send me to the chiropractor for my back. And I'm like,
but you're a skeptic.
I'm good. I'm okay. And I've also had doctors ask, do you want to go to the chiropractor? And I say, I don't think that they're efficacious. And the doctor will be like, I agree with you. I'm just supposed to ask that. Yeah. So, but I think that there's a lot of people, I don't know what a lot of people think. I don't know. I don't know what the average person thinks about their own health, but I know I want to do the thing that is the most efficacious. If I had cancer tomorrow, I would want to make sure that I did the thing that cured it, not what felt good.
Right. No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I just think you're a skeptic. And I think that there are a lot of people who might go to that hospital, get introduced to the idea of Reiki, then go down that road of alternative medicine and start reading and find it online. And then say,
it's a black hole. You can just,
Yeah. And then maybe they say, oh my gosh, I can, and then I went to, and then I went down this website and this one. And then maybe they don't like Reiki Dr. Owens and they like Reiki Dr. Smith and they're down the road and now they're going somewhere other than the hospital. It just seems like, why open the door?
Yeah.
Why use the credibility of the hospital to open the door?
The best part about that article is Stephen Novella's part, because Stephen Novella is decrying it.
It's horrible.
He's part of that article and he's absolutely decrying it. And good for Stephen Novella to be out there. He is a doctor. He's a neurosurgeon. Very respected doctor, and he should be the one leading the charge to decry all this.
Absolutely.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
So this is Right Wing Watch. Sandy Rios, officials may be lying about Texas church shooters' atheism connections to Antifa.
Oh, God. Here's Sandy Rios.
All right, let's do it.
Here we are with another terrible, terrible thing that happened. I would just say, this. As a practical matter, remember I told you probably a month ago that, now this is just speculation on my part, but Antifa.
Again, she does this all the time.
Yeah.
Every time she's like, I'm about to wildly speculate some things that I'll then later state as if they were truths.
Yeah. I'm going to give you a bunch of things that are not true as facts.
Antifa.
When she says that, she sounds like she's talking about her mother's sister.
Right? Oh, it's Antifa. She's here.
Oh, Antifa.
She's your Vietnamese aunt. It's Antifa. Her soup is great.
PHO.
Yeah.
Was planning on having some sort of an all-out assault on American soil. I believe.
Discredited, not true. You believe things that are just ridiculous.
Fake news!
It was November 4th. And there was an article that I read. I thought I printed it out, but I didn't see it this morning.
Why was that relevant? I thought I printed it because it's the past and I still print things. Then I lost it. Printed it. I printed it.
I asked my scribe to put it in the manuscript, and he didn't do it.
I printed it out.
My carbon paper out, and I wrote it so I could have a copy.
What I did is a lot of times I mimeograph these things for everybody.
About how, oops, that didn't happen. Too bad. I think it was supposed to be Saturday. But I have to tell you, I
think it did.
Didn't happen.
Totally
Sunday
happened.
This is not the thing. The thing you think that they said they were going to do, they didn't say they were going to do because you just were misled by, because you're a credulous dipshit and don't fact check anything. But then also this still wouldn't qualify.
Yeah.
It was on the wrong day, first of all, and it's a totally different, yes, it's violent. That's literally the only thing that it has in common.
I wonder if the law enforcement is ever honest with us, if there isn't some involvement with Antifa in this.
With law enforcement?
Well, I think
don't these guys love police? Aren't they like Blue Lives Matter people?
No, I don't think that they think that the police are orchestrating it. I think what she's saying is that the police are trying to protect us from it, or they are hiding the knowledge that Antifa did it, or on Antifa. I'm saying it like her. They're hiding the knowledge that they did it, but they're not with them. I don't think that she's accusing the police of being in part of it, just that they're hiding the knowledge from it.
But why would they do that? I just feel like these are the same guys who are the same crowd of general voices that decry like Black Lives Matter all the time, right? And they talk about like disrespect for authority, and they talk about law enforcement in glowing terms.
Yeah.
When law enforcement is sort of pitted against brown people, right? Because anything with the brown people. But then right now it's like now law enforcement is a tool of some shadow government Antifa.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it can't be all these things.
Based on the way this guy dressed, the way he responded, his atheism, his hatred.
What are you talking about? He responded with his atheism and hatred?
Responded to what?
I guess killing people in a church is atheism?
I guess. But again, like, what did he respond to? He didn't respond. He wasn't provoked.
Yeah.
There was no provocation to which he responded. He's also a guy who volunteered at a Sunday school.
I mean, it could be personal, but it also could be Antifa. And I have to...
Or it could be space aliens and elephants. We have no idea.
To tell you also, this is a story. I'm not actually going to go into this but I will mention it.
I'm not going to go into it because I don't have any details that may not be true.
Look, I'm going to mention it.
I don't want to stoke the fires of wild speculation. If anyone has a bellows called wild speculation, now's the time to pump that bellows.
You know that the Las Vegas shooter, do you recognize that? Did anything ever happen with that? Anything ever happen with his girlfriend? Do we know anything more? Really and truly?
Well, they're still investigating.
Man.
Yeah, it's like, I'm kind of like, yeah, that's crazy. It's a conundrum. We don't know.
Yeah.
We just don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't get to know what happens in people's minds. Sometimes people don't leave us clues ahead of time or after the fact as to why they do the things that they do. Sometimes we're just surprised.
And at a certain point, why spend so many resources in this? It's not like you're going to prevent it. You're not going to do anything to prevent it.
I know.
You're not creating any systems after you find out why the guy did it to change anything. You're not changing mental health systems. You're not changing, if he's, let's say he was mad about the way in which the court system worked or whatever it is, right? The way the gambling system worked out there. Nobody's going to change anything based on that. Nobody's going to do it. So what do you even care? At a certain point, the guy's dead. You're just like, well, I guess we don't know. I guess we'll just never know. The end.
Yeah, you got a good point. There comes a point where you just have to say, and a part of me says that point is immediately. Fucking immediately. It's like, what difference would it make? If we're not going to act on the motivation, if we're not going to act on the intent, and we know we're not, right?
We never do.
So fucking get out your broom and clean up the fucking shell casings.
Never fucking do.
And hand the bodies off to the relatives, and let's just go on to the next mass murder.
Call that company that comes out and scrubs the blood off shit, that aftermath whatever.
Yeah.
Call them up, have them come up and clean the gore off the carpet, and call this shit a night. So we're not going to have an email section this week because email, we wound up recording a couple shows in a row. We're going to have a big, long email section when we come back. Remember to put Dogma Debate on your the 3rd or the 2nd and 3rd of December on your calendar to listen to, and 10 a.m. on the 3rd to listen to me and possibly No Illusions do a little bit. I'm not sure if he's going to do it or not, but we'll see. On Dogma Debate's 24-hour broad podcastathon. Check it out and save up your coins for modest needs to donate during that hour. We're going to be matching money. We want to end today with one email. We're not going to do a bunch of email, but we do have one email we want to end with today. Tom, we want to end with a Skeptic's Creed from Lisa. Now, Lisa says she was listening to the backlog. Someone had sent in a translated Skeptic's Creed from Swedish that turned out to be totally fake, according to Lisa. This was clearly an American reading off Google Translate. So since no one seemed to correct the error for the sake of the beautiful language not to be misinterpreted on the show, Lisa hereby presents the Skeptic's Creed Swedish version. And so we're going to play it for you now to end the show with the Skeptic's Creed.
Lättrogenhet är inte en dygd. Det är öde, kaka, skärare, mammaproblem, hypnos, Babylon, skitsnack. Inbäddat i vetenskaplig dubbelbubbel, slit och problem. Pseudo, halvt alternativ, akupunkterande, trycksatt, stereogram, pyramidformat, fri energi, helande, urvattnat, nedåtgående spiral, hjärna, uttryckslös, säljsnack, info, docutainment. Lejon, fiskar, cancerbehandlingar, avgiftning, reflex, fotmassage. Död och torn, tarotkort, psykiskt helande, kristallkulor. Storfot, yeti, utomjordingar, kyrkor, moskéer och synagogor. Tempel, drakar, enorma maskar. Atlantis, delfiner, sanningssägare, konspirationsteoretiker, häxor, trollkarlar, vaccinidioter, shaman, helare, evangelister, konspiration, tvetydighet, stigmata, nonsens. Blotta dina sidor. Kasta ut dina händer. Blodiga, bevisande, avgörande. Tvivla även på detta.
So badass. She fucking kills that.
She did, but like nonsense is a cognate? How the
there you
fuck
go.
does that work?
There were a handful.
There was a handful of cognates.
Handful, yeah.
Well, there's some that you just expect to be.
Infodocutainment.
You're like, yeah,
right?
well, some of these, they're just nonsense made up words, but nonsense?
I know.
That's a cognate? That's weird. But yeah, it totally killed it. And I will say, the Skeptic's Creed has to be very hard to read, but it sounds like it's fucking exponentially hard to read in Swedish. Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Very nice job.
That was great.
The opinions and information provided on this podcast are intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions are solely that of Glory Hole Studios, LLC. Cognitive Dissonance makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, currentness, suitability, or validity of any information, and will not be liable for any errors, damages, or butthurt arising from consumption. All information is provided on an as-is basis. No refunds. Produced in association with the local Dairy Council and viewers like you.
And I think that worked because it happened at the hospital.
Yeah.
Mother, you take up again? Where you going?
How's that even possible?
I don't know. I'm not even drinking or anything. I'm just sitting here.
Your body's stay hiccup machine.
I hate my body so much.
My body's garbage.
I hate this thing so much. Why can't I just get the new one?
You just need that floating ball light model. That's what you need.
I like having a body. Yeah. It can do all kinds of shit, but I want one that I don't loathe every part of. You know what I mean?
I just want one that I can look at and be like, all right, that's all right. I can deal with that.
Right. Can I have one I'm just ambivalent toward, please?
Don't want to.
Instead of one that I'm just like
a garbage body. Yeah.
You ever look in the mirror and you're like,
no, I never do.
That's what I look like?
No, I don't. No.
You're like a vampire.
Fuck that.
You just smash every mirror in your home.
I just look the other way. I have a whole wall of mirrors and I walk backwards into that room.